to meet with you in another episode of the Bible story. If you read the Old Testament, you will find similar message as that of the Final Testament, and that is the Gross Quran. Allah Azza says in the last verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter of Baqarah, آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله. Allah Azza is talking about Muhammad and the believers. He said, the Muhammad, he believes in all the prophets that came before him, and also the believers. They believe in Allah, they believe in His angels, and they believe in all the books that were revealed before them. And also in the chapter of Al-Ma'idah, Allah Azza is saying, وأنزلنا إليك الكتاب بالحق مصدقا لما بين يديه من الكتاب ومحيمنا عليه. And also we reveal to you the book that is confirming the books that came before it, and also serving as a witness. So if you read, there are many stories that are in the Old Testament, and they are also found in the Final Testament, the Gross Quran. You will see that they are compatible. Example is, if you read the story of Adam and Eve, Adam and Hawa, the way it is in the book of Genesis is the way you find it in various places in the Quran. Allah Azza placed Adam and Eve in Jannah. They were told not to do this, they ate, and then they were taken to Jannah, and they regret, and then they accept. Allah Azza accepted their tawbah, they seek for forgiveness. And then also we see the story of Cain and Abel, Habil and Qabil. When they were told to offer sacrifice, they were two children of Adam. They were told to offer sacrifice, and then Habil did it well, Qabil didn't do it well. Allah accepted that of Habil, and then the one of Qabil was rejected. And Qabil angrily and jealously, he killed his brother, and then he started regretting after all. Allah mentioned this in Surah Al-A'raf, وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ ابْنَيْ آدَمَ بِالْحَقِّ إِذْ قَرَّبَا قُرْبَانًا فَتُقُبِّلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمَا وَلَمْ يَتَقَبَّلْ مِنَ الْآخَرِ. Also, if you read the stories in the book of Genesis, story of Noah and that of the Gross Quran, there is a whole chapter in the Quran talking about Surah Al-Nuh. As Allah says, لَبِثَ فِيهِمْ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ إِلَّا خَمْسِينَ عَامًا. He lived for 950 years with his people. And that is how it is mentioned in the book of Genesis. And exactly the same thing, that he is a righteous person among the prophets of Allah. He was preaching to the people who were evil, and then they mocked him, they did whatsoever, and then Allah asked him to build an ark. He did it, and then they were overtaken by flood. The same thing, it is compatible. And then we read the story of Lot. Lot is the people who live with the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. They were people who were practicing homosexuality, and he preached to them, they refused. And then one day he had some visitors, and these visitors were angels. These angels, they came to destroy his people, and then they came in the form of human beings, and then they came in the form of men. When they entered upon him, they greeted him, and then his people followed them. They thought that they are men, beautiful and handsome men. And then he was telling them, why can't you leave my guests? هؤلاء بناتي هن أطهر لكم. Look at women all over, you leave them, and then you are approaching men like you. He preached to them, they refused, and then that is the very day in which they were destroyed. These angels came and they turned the land upside down, and they threw some stones against them, and they were destroyed. These stories are compatible. And then if you read the story of Abraham, also the same thing. That is how it is in the Gross Quran. And Abraham, he was having a dream. He had a dream that Allah is telling him to slaughter his son, and that is what we find in the book of Genesis, chapter 22, chapter 37. And also we see in Surah Al-Safat where إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ فَانْظُرْ مَاذَا تَرَى. I have seen in my dream that Allah is telling me to slaughter you. And then he did it. He told his son said, go ahead and follow the commandment of Allah. And then when he came to sacrifice his son, Allah told him it is a trial, it is only a test. He brought ram to him. The story is compatible in the two scriptures. Allah praised him frequently. He said, قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُخْلَصِينَ. He was righteous, he was noble, he was pious. And then also we see the story of Moses, who lived with Pharaoh, one of the evil and most tyrant ruler of his time. He lived with them. We see these stories compatible in the book of Exodus and also in various places in the glorious Quran. And also if you read Surah Al-Taha, there is the place where Allah was saying that Moses alayhi salam, he saw fire in the bush. He said, I have to wait for me. He told his people to wait for him, and then he will go and see what is in that fire. When he goes there, Allah will talk to him. And then also there is somebody that lived with Moses who was arrogant and wealthy. Allah mentioned his story in Surah Al-Qasas. We find this something in the book of Numbers chapter 16. إِنَّ قَارُونَ كَانَ مِنْ قَوْمِ مُوسَى فَبَغَى عَلَيْهِمْ. His name is Qarun as mentioned in the Quran, while in the Bible he is mentioned by the name of Korah. This is the same person. He was arrogant and he was wealthy, that Allah says he has great treasures, and the key to his treasures is so heavy that huge number of people have to carry it before they can be able to open it. إن مفاتحه لتنوء بالعصبة أولي القوة إذ قال له قوم لا تفرح إن الله لا يحب الفرحين. The story is compatible in these two scriptures. And then there are many other scriptures. There are many other stories that are compatible. Like for instance, the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse number 4 is the same thing, same message, talking about monotheism. And then that is where we're going to stop. Next video, inshallah, we are going to see the difference between the two scriptures. What is the difference? What is the difference between these stories? The book of Deuteronomy is saying, "Hear, O Israel, your Lord, your God is one Lord." That is where we're going to stop. Inshallah, we're going to continue during our next video. Keep on following us. Assalamu alaikum.